Tim Pool, a popular political commentator, made headlines by calling out Sam Seder, another political commentator, as a grifter during a live stream. The accusation was made after Tim Pool claimed that Sam Seder had displayed duplicitous behavior when he was trying to bring on more left-wing commentators on his podcast.
A couple of those, I think.
Well, they just break it down scene by scene?
Yeah, frame by frame.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, Max Reddick says, Tim, Sam Seder seems to think you are afraid to debate him, claiming that you asked him to come on the show during COVID as his excuse for not coming on. Would you publicly ask him to come on the show? So the issue with Sam is I've known him for a really long time, and I made a tweet where I was like, we typically invite people on the left to come on the show, and then they just never do. They never respond, or they respond once and they don't get back to us. And then Hassan and Sam both said, I'll totally do it. And so I privately messaged both of them and said, awesome, would be excited to have you, especially Sam, because Sam was the first guy to ever give me a shout out in media ever. He said, like, oh, look at these guys, Occupy Wall Street, fantastic work. And I was like, we'll cover the cost of everything. We'll fly you out. And then Sam basically was just like, I'm not going on your show. And then tweeted accusing me of like, making it up or something.
Oh, it might have been a COVID thing because he just went on Patrick Bet-David's show.
He tweeted at me that he was going to come on the show and then privately was like, oh, I'm not coming out there. And then I'm like, okay, whatever. Like you said you would. You actually set a date and everything. I told you the date. I told you the time. You said yes, you agreed. And now when I'm setting this up, you're like flaking out behind the scenes and then putting me on the spot.
If Sam wanted to, would you host a debate with him on your show?
No. And Hassan, yes. Hassan politely messaged me and said, hey, look, man, I know I said I would. I feel he said something like, I feel pretty bad, but like, I'm not comfortable flying right now with COVID. And I was like, totally understand, dude, no problem. Later on, when I asked him again, he's like, bro, I host my own show. And I said, you are totally correct. Like the idea that I'm going to ask someone who hosts their own show to cancel their show to come on my show, I just totally get it. So if I like Kyle Kalinske, for instance, has talked about coming on the show before, but I'm like, whenever you can, because I know you do your own show. Like I'm not, if people want to come on the show, it's like doing me a favor. But the issue with Sam is that I believe he is like, he's a grifter. Like,
you don't think he believes what he says?
I think maybe half of it. I think he doesn't know about a lot of issues and he says things just for the sake of shock value. He makes a bunch of videos. Like another thing is like all he would do is rag on Dave Rubin. He's like one of those guys who makes a bunch of videos just talking about drama and people that I'm really not interested. And then the publicly agreeing to come on the show in good faith, like when I made a good faith offer, and then privately backtracking and then putting it on me and now claiming I'm scared. Like the whole thing's a bit. Tim's scared to debate me. No, dude, he's just a lowbrow grifter. Bro, I'll have you on anytime you want to come on. Like, here you are. Mm-hmm. And I think you're like substantially more intelligent and capable of debate than Sam Seder is.
Obviously that's true. No, I'm just kidding. I think Sam's a really smart guy. I mean, I can't speak to your private messages, but yeah, I would hope. I don't know. I don't view him as a grifter. I feel like Sam is pretty he's pretty smart compared to most of the people. If I was scared of anybody in the left to debate, I think it would generally be Sam Seder,
I'll tell you one of the personal negative experiences.
Okay.
But like still when you have him on the show was when I tried to explain to him deontological versus utilitarian moral philosophy.
Oh, I watched this. And
he didn't understand it. And so how do you convey an idea to someone who doesn't understand these concepts? Well, I went for pop culture, and instead, it was a bunch of.
I remember because you said the villain is usually the utilitarian guy. I remember I watched this clip. I remember a while
and
ago.
So I said I think we were talking about universal healthcare, and I said it's utilitarian versus deontological morality or ethics, right? Deontological ethics is basically stating that you cannot take an immoral action against an individual, regardless of the outcome. And utilitarian thinking is an action against an individual which is unethical is justified if it benefits the greater. And Sam was like, I don't know what that means. Uh-huh. And I'm like, okay, how do I debate a guy who doesn't understand these concepts? Well, me thinking like I'm here to convey ideas in good faith said, think about Thanos versus like Captain America. Thanos wants to wipe out. And then his response was to make a video and all of his fans mocking me for talking about Marvel. But here's a better one. When we released our first song, he ran it through an audio filter to make it sound bad and then played it on his show, calling it garbage and lying about it.
I just saw
like that. The dude is just the lowest of low tier grifters.
Did he? I feel like I saw them. I watched them.
He ran my song through an audio filter.
Was he on that episode? Because it was the girl and the other guy.
I don't know.
I don't remember if he was on the show. But
Sam Seder's show played the song we put out and put it through this weird filter to make it sound like garbage.
Okay.
And that song actually did really well. It's the best song we've had so far. It charted on Billboard in a bunch of different categories. Mm-hmm. And then they're just like, oh, it's so bad. Oh man, it sounds like Nickelback. And I'm like, If anything, it sounds like emo, not Nickelback.
You know, I'll point something out about
fake.
Sam.
It's just all fake grifting.
Sam went on Patrick Bet-David's Valuetainment podcast.
Yep,
I thought
watched
it was
it.
very cool. I didn't see the whole thing, but they talked about Medicare, they talked about finances. And then Sam, you put up a video on your channel that says, it's a picture of you and Pat, and it says, Sam Seder debates rich guy who hates taxes. Like, you didn't even use his name. That's dirty,
grifting,
dude.
It's all grifting. It's all fake garbage.
Like, he's a huge podcaster. You should make a big deal out of that.
He's grifting.
Well.
But I love you, Sam. And
Okay,
I'd love to have you on.
I don't want to fight on every point. That's part of the YouTube game. People do that. I'm sure if I go through your channel, I'm sure you guys have got like crazy thumbnails and titles and stuff. Like I think my editor probably puts up crazy thumbnails. Like there are times where I ask him like, why didn't you have this person's name? And he's like, oh, like this, they don't do well in the algorithm. Or like you can't put that person's name in the title. It'll fuck the video up or whatever. Wait, maybe that's for some of theirs, but
actually. Valuetainment podcast would algorithmically be boosted way more than Rich Dude, which is very generic.
Sure, possibly. Yeah. When you say grifter, what do you mean by that? I'm just curious.
In the literal sense, I believe that his shtick is to say things to convince people to watch, as opposed to say things principally which attract an audience.
Okay.
So, like, me personally, yeah, there's a bunch of positions where like my opinion has evolved or changed, notably with like police. We had Michael Malice on the show, and then my position changes more towards maybe the cops aren't as I'm not going to defend the cops as much as I used to. For someone like Sam, like his people, whether it was him or otherwise, running my song through an audio filter to make it sound bad, like that's just weird and dirty. And there's been other instances. Like seriously though, I don't really care to think about the guy.
Okay.
But when I publicly said, like, bro, I would love to have you on the show, here I'm thinking, like, I've debated him before. I know there were, like, people got their hoots and hollers out of it, but it would be great to have him on the show. And then he pulls this stunt. I'm just like, the dude played me and then made it seem like I'm the one who backed out. It was all a grift to rally his audience. Hassan didn't do that. Hassan outright told me, like, I'm not comfortable traveling during COVID. Sorry, bro. And I was like, I appreciate it, man. And that was the end of it.
I saw a tweet from Destiny about a week ago that says, I forgive everybody from my past. Something like that. I'm moving forward. Yeah. I like it. More of that.
All right. Let's read some more super chats. Free men die free.
This incident has stirred up a lot of controversy in the online political community, with many people taking sides and debating whether Tim Pool's accusations were valid or not. The backstory to this incident is that Tim Pool had been trying to invite more left-wing commentators onto his podcast, which primarily features right-wing guests. He had contacted Sam Seder, who hosts The Majority Report, to come on the podcast. However, Sam Seder declined the offer, citing concerns about traveling during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Instead, he proposed doing an online debate through Skype or Zoom. Tim Pool agreed to this, but later claimed that Sam Seder had given a different impression on his show when asked why he wasn't going on Tim Pool's podcast. During his live stream, Tim Pool accused Sam Seder of being a grifter, which is a term used to describe someone who takes advantage of a particular situation for personal gain without actually believing in the cause they are advocating for. Tim Pool's accusation was based on the fact that Sam Seder had declined his invitation to appear on his podcast but had appeared on other podcasts hosted by left-wing commentators. Tim Pool claimed that this was evidence that Sam Seder was more interested in promoting himself than in promoting left-wing ideas. Many people in the online political community were quick to react to Tim Pool's accusations. Some people defended Sam Seder, arguing that his decision not to travel during the pandemic was a valid one, and that he had not shown any duplicitous behavior. Others supported Tim Pool, pointing out that Sam Seder had appeared on other left-wing podcasts and had not provided a clear explanation for why he was declining Tim Pool's invitation. The accusation of grifting is a serious one, and it is not surprising that it has sparked a lot of debate and discussion. Some people believe that the term is overused and that it is often used as a way to discredit someone without actually addressing their arguments or ideas. Others argue that grifting is a real problem in the political world, and that it is important to call out people who are taking advantage of the situation for personal gain. One of the key issues in this controversy is the question of whether or not Sam Seder was being honest in his interactions with Tim Pool. If he genuinely did not want to travel during the pandemic, then his decision not to appear on Tim Pool's podcast makes sense. However, if he was using the pandemic as an excuse to avoid appearing on a right-wing podcast, then his actions could be seen as duplicitous. This is a difficult question to answer, and it is likely that different people will have different opinions on the matter. Another issue that this controversy raises is the question of whether or not it is important for people with different political views to engage with each other. Tim Pool has been criticized in the past for not engaging with left-wing guests on his podcast, and his decision to invite Sam Seder was seen by some people as a positive step in this direction. However, if left-wing commentators are hesitant to appear on right-wing podcasts, then this could make it more difficult for people with different political views to engage with each other in a productive way. The accusation of grifting is not the only controversial thing that Tim Pool has said about Sam Seder in recent weeks. In another live stream, he criticized Seder for his views on gun control, arguing that he was advocating for policies that would infringe on the Second Amendment. This criticism sparked further debate in the online political community, with some people arguing that Tim Pool was misrepresenting Sam Seder's views on gun control. Overall, the controversy surrounding Tim Pool's accusations against Sam Seder raises important questions about the nature of political discourse in the online world. In an era where people are increasingly divided along political lines, it is more important than ever for people with different views to engage with each other in a respectful and constructive way. Accusations of grifting and other forms of dishonest behavior can undermine this process, and it is important for people to be careful about making these kinds of accusations without solid evidence to back them up. At the same time, it is also important for people to be held accountable for their actions, and if there is evidence that someone is engaging in dishonest or manipulative behavior, then it is appropriate to call them out on it. The challenge, of course, is to do so in a way that is fair, respectful, and productive. In conclusion, the controversy surrounding Tim Pool's accusations against Sam Seder highlights the challenges of engaging in political discourse in the online world. While it is important for people with different political views to engage with each other, it is also important for people to be held accountable for their actions. Accusations of grifting and other forms of dishonest behavior can be damaging to the process of political discourse, and it is important for people to be careful about making these kinds of accusations without solid evidence to back them up. Ultimately, the goal should be to foster a culture of respectful and constructive political dialogue, even in the face of deep ideological differences.